But Chad, dude, thank you for taking the time and coming
no
down.
problem.
I appreciate this a lot.
My pleasure.
And this new technology, this cryptocurrency thing, to me, it's fascinating.
It's big.
But at the same time, it's confusing as hell.
Scary too.
Yes, yes. So the whole conversation, I want to kind of explain to people what it is,
Sure.
how this thing came about, and yeah, man, let's just
Sure.
talk about cryptocurrencies.
All right. Sounds good. So where do you want me to start? We're going to go into
So,
the history a
Let's
little bit?
start. Let's start with a little bit of the history
Okay.
of cryptocurrency and what it is, how it came about.
Okay.
And I heard about a mystery guy that's behind it. Yeah,
It might be me. Who knows? It could be anyone. Yeah. So back in I think 2009, we had the financial crisis, the housing bubble, and pretty much people started panicking, not sure where to kind of keep your money. A guy named Satoshi Nakamoto, which we think is like more of a screen name, not his real name, wrote up a white paper, and kind of the philosophy behind it was people can be their own bank. So the current landscape of money, and it hasn't always been this way. It was like a revolution back in like Wild West days, and even before that, where people had this idea of, oh, I keep my money with you guys, the bank. Like you're going, this is cool. You're going to keep it safe, and it's going to be legit. And people had to get used to that concept first. So this is almost going back in reverse, where people are. It's like keeping money in your mattress, right?
holding their cash.
So people are their own bank, and it's walking away from a third trusted party. So what Bitcoin is a trustless system where someone can transfer value from one person to another, peer to peer, with no third party involved.
And I think that's the scary piece, where this is something that came out of nowhere. There's nothing that you can touch, smell, feel.
Right, yeah.
In the fear that it can be gone. Because that's what people think. Oh, it could be hacked. Something could be deleted. The internet could disappear. Like,
Right.
where is my money?
Yeah, what is it? What is happening? What is it?
What is
actually?
happening?
So maybe we should first talk about what is money then, right?
Yeah, and right after that, I definitely want to get into the technology behind
Okay.
all of these different cryptocurrencies. And we're going to get to that here in a second, because there's only really three that are quite popular.
Mm-hmm.
But there are a ton of different cryptocurrencies.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
So let's start with the money piece.
Okay. So what is money? And first people think like, well, US dollars, right? I have money in my pocket that's backed by gold.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. It used to be. But people still think it is. So the money we use, and a lot of money around the world, is called fiat currency. It's not backed by a commodity like gold or silver. And the banks can, or the Federal Reserve can print more money to pay off debts. So inflation is just kind of a natural like end result of that. So Bitcoin and a lot of these other currencies are a little different. They're the opposite of that. There's a fixed supply that, like Bitcoin, for example, I think caps out at 21 million will be the most Bitcoin that ever exists, right? Period.
And that's, I think that's why I think a lot of these currencies have become so popular.
Mhm.
You mentioned it with the whole printing of cash.
Mhm.
You could have bought 50 years ago a gallon of milk for 50 cents. Today, that exact same gallon of milk, it's 4-6 times.
Right.
But when you look at the money, it's the same paper. It's the same weight of metals if you're using coins. But the value of it has drastically declined.
Supply and demand, basically.
Because of the supply that have been printed into the market.
Exactly.
Tell me about blockchain, the technology behind these currencies.
So that's the kind of technology that makes this work. So your bank balance right now in whatever bank you use is kind of just a number stored in a server that you're trusting that is going to be accurate, and that you'll look at it the next day and it's still where you expect it to be, right? Now, I don't know if you know what happened in like Cyprus and like I think Greece, where basically the government's like, hey, yo, your money's ours now.
Yep.
I want to say it was like the Philippines or Indonesia, where all of a sudden a new regime took over and was like, that old money that you were using, we don't accept that around here. Like,
It's the one with my face on it.
yeah, I need my new face on that money. So that's the kind of threat that this blockchain was hoping to prevent and solve. It's instead of a centralized ledger of what accounts have how much money, it's a distributed ledger, meaning everyone is kind of doing the checks and balances. So it's anonymous but transparent at the same time. So at any point, like I could check what your Bitcoin balance is, your Litecoin balance, your Ether balance. I can look at all that. I may not know if I would have to know your address to know that it's you, but at any point, someone could look at an account, and you could go look at some millionaire's account out there and peek at exactly how much they have, when transactions came and went. So it's anonymous but transparent. And when I say it's distributed, it's not running on any one server. So as far as like you mentioned a risk of being hacked, first you'd have to hack one person's computer, and then you'd have to hack at least 51% of all the other computers in the network. That's actually called a 51% attack, because what happens is, let's say I figured out some way to hack someone's Bitcoin wallet, and let's say I had the know-how to do that, and I start changing the codes around. I'm like, you know what? My account has 1 million coins, right? Every other computer on this network is going to go, wait a second, we got one node on this network here that doesn't seem to match up. That gets trashed because everyone else on the network doesn't agree.
Doesn't agree with it. And this is so important. In people that are still hesitant to believe in this new era of money, that's what I believe is happening. I think we're going into a new era of money, of wealth management, of stashing your cash, right? The idea that it's not just one bank keeping track of your of what you own, of where or to put it this way, where money it's flowing. Now over 51% of the network needs to agree that this transaction happened, so that this account goes down to zero and this one went up $1. Right?
Exactly.
And dude, going further into this, because you got me into this cryptocurrency thing. I think you got more than one guy into this, right?
Yeah, my family's into it now. It's kind of spread like wildfire a little bit.
We have a friend in common that I thought he was going to be pretty, what's the word I'm looking for?
He was really cautious.
Right?
He had to be convinced. And I didn't even try to convince. I just laid out the facts for him. And I'm like, look yourself and start doing your own research. But this is the future.
And it's such a conservative guy was able to get into this, right? But not only that, now he's an advocate and sharing it. And like, you have to do it, right? But on top of that, the guy has done phenomenally well over the past 12 to 18 months with cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
But going into this as a currency in becoming streamlined, give me some use cases where you think this money, this technology plays a role.
So Bitcoin's a funny one. Bitcoin can only really transact 3 transactions per second. So that's not a lot. Like on a grand scale, if you start comparing that to the likes of Visa and MasterCard, PayPal, 3 transactions a second can't cut it. And as more and more people started jumping into the platform, it hasn't been able to scale properly because I think that too many people got in too quick.
Yeah.
I think it got too popular too fast. And because it's an open source project, meaning you can go look and see the code, you can fork the code yourself. If you wanted to learn how to program, you could take the code, it's all available to see, and you can make your own currency. And that's actually what people started doing. Yeah. Litecoin, for example, is just a fork of Bitcoin. They tweaked a few things. They made it faster with transactions, lower transaction fees, and it became like the silver to Bitcoin's gold. And that was one of the first of what you can call the altcoins or alternative coins. And Litecoin only recently just had a nice big pop.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, there's a few different. So you asked use cases. So Bitcoin kind of transformed. It started as like, who knows, this could be the next digital cash where you go into a coffee shop. The guy's like, we accept cash here. And hey, if you want to pay with Bitcoin, you can. Right now, it's not as viable for that use case because the transaction fees with Bitcoin have gone up so high because of how many more people are using the service. So no one's going to pay a $15 US dollar equivalent fee to buy a coffee. If you're using it to buy a house, all right, that's buying property, buying larger assets. If that happens, I heard stories of people buying cars with Bitcoin. Someone bought a house with Bitcoin.
I saw it on a reputable network on TV where this guy paid for his kids' tuition.
There you go.
At a school, they accepted.
And they just accepted it directly?
Yeah, they just accepted it directly.
That's pretty forward thinking,
right?
Yeah.
I thought the education system.
Yeah,
that's pretty unique.
Right.
This is how you can tell this thing is really going into all kinds of industries today.
So it's more of the best equivalent, like metaphor for it, I guess you could say, is like gold. It's like digital gold. So gold has value, but it's a little harder to transfer. Like you're not going to pay for a coffee in gold. You're not going to buy your gas with gold. It'd be funny to watch that actually happening, but it's more of a store of value. It's more of a savings account than a credit card.
Yeah. And when you mention gold, there's a lot of terminologies with Bitcoin that are very similar to the gold era. Like people talk about Bitcoin mining it.
Yeah.
Right?
Just taking a pickaxe and
going
it down.
And you mentioned that there's a finite amount. Just
Yeah.
like the same, we have a finite amount of gold and precious metals here on Earth, and value of those finite resources, it's always just going to continue to go up and up and up. So that 21 million Bitcoins, only a percentage of that it's out there today.
Yeah, I think it's like
so
80 to 90% is already out in circulation.
So that rest, how is it coming into circulation today?
So that would be the mining piece of this.
Talk a little bit about that.
So in this code, Satoshi Nakamoto made it so that there'd be an incentive for people to make the network run and also make it be secure. So you right now could run a mining software on your computer that is basically connected to the network, and your computer would be doing just intense mathematical equations to verify transactions on the network. Kind of not that much dissimilar to the encryption that is used when you go to a website and put in your credit card number in a secure way so that there isn't a person intercepting that information. That's all cryptography. So your computer would be securing the network, and in return, every once in a while, a new block in the blockchain is produced. Basically, here's all the latest transactions that occurred over the last 10 minutes, I think, is on Bitcoin's blockchain's like schedule. That gets entered into the block, and whoever was the computer that solved the puzzle,
figure out the mathematical number,
they get a little reward in Bitcoin. So there's an incentive to run the network because it costs power to run your computer especially at full tilt, like your computer idling isn't going to draw a lot of power, but running Bitcoin, and it's something like the total amount of electricity used by the Bitcoin network, it's not a very green product. It's like the entire, something like it's more than the entire country of Iceland or something, or I can't remember. I remember seeing a figure where it was like a massive amount of electricity.
Yeah.
A ton of it is being done in China. The McAfee antivirus. So he no longer, and for a long time, has not been part of that company. That guy, John McAfee, his business now is mining Bitcoin. So he started a company based, I think, in the U.S. called MGT. He now mines Bitcoin pretty much exclusively.
I mean, when one Bitcoin, that thing is nearly 20 grand.
Yeah.
For a ones and zeros, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy. And I think this is where the adjustment in society, the people that don't adopt the technology are going to be left behind.
Right.
The people that are attaching their cash to things that can be influenced by a decision that someone made, by a let's just look at what happened in 2008. The taxpayers had to come up with a way to figure out how to save the banks, because everything is so lopsided,
right,
that the impact on the rest of the world would have been a catastrophe.
Right.
And we had to come up with the cash to fund, I'm sorry, but a freaking system that I don't think has played us well.
Right. Yeah, this cryptocurrency thing, it's like a libertarian, anarchist kind of dream. It became a grassroots kind of movement based off of that kind of animosity, and
yeah,
it's just tough to
and
accept that that's okay.
Yes, and people are killing it.
Yeah.
All we know, or what's popular, Bitcoin, Ether, or Ethereum.
Yep. Ethereum's the network. Ether's the currency within that.
The currency.
Yep.
So are you telling me that within Ethereum there could be other?
That's exactly the case. So actually,
coins.
So my shirt right now.
Yeah.
Was a little gift to me by the EOS team. Well, EOS is being developed by a guy named Dan Larimer, and a company, Block One. That right now they're doing a crowd sale of their token. It's basically like a fundraiser. It's a startup company, but they're raising funds on the Ethereum network, and they made their own token on the Ethereum network, and that can be traded. There's a ton of them. There's over 1,000 currencies.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's
and I heard you talk about this EOS.
Yeah.
EOS currency.
Yeah.
And I don't have any of that. So we got to give these guys some funds to continue their project.
Yeah, they're on a few exchanges. So EOS, before I go to EOS, maybe we should talk about what Ethereum is, because so if Bitcoin and Litecoin, they're kind of like the blockchain 1.0. It's just a distributed ledger, hard to hack, no central point of attack, secure, anonymous, transparent, all the above. Ethereum was kind of the first, I guess you could call it blockchain 2.0. And this is why I got excited and told our friend about it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, this is the next wave.
I don't know if I should be mad because you left me out on that one. You left me out on that one.
You got to sit across from me, man. So Ethereum, when I say blockchain 2.0, it adds another layer onto the blockchain. And actually, Ethereum was originally going to be, from what I understand, a like side chain of Bitcoin. It was going to work like kind of hand in hand, but then they decided to do their own thing because of a few limitations. Mainly, I think it was the 3 transactions per second on the Bitcoin network. So Ethereum is more of, so yes, you can do just straight up like token exchanges, trading Ether back and forth, and Ether has a massive value. I mean, I think I bought my first Ether around $8, and last I saw it was around 800. But Ethereum is a virtual computer. So instead of thinking like a computer running in like a server farm, like a mainframe, like server racks and stuff, instead it's running just like how Bitcoin is on many different thousands of computers all over the place. And someone can write code and run code on this decentralized computer. So it's like a computer in the cloud that's running everywhere. So like Amazon, for example, is probably its closest competitor. So Amazon, if you wanted to host Diego's taxi service and you want to start a new application, that application has to be run on some kind of hardware. So you could pay Amazon, you can pay Microsoft, you'd have to pay like a cloud computing provider. And they'd run your application. Amazon, if they go down, they bring down 30%, 40% of the internet with them. And Amazon's main product, people think, oh, I go on there and buy my phone cases and I buy my chargers on there and I buy a computer or whatever.
Dude, I just learned something today.
So Amazon's product isn't their retail storefront.
So are we talking about AWS?
AWS, which is a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah, so, and we're going to link this back to Ethereum again here. But when you say bringing down half the internet with it, are you telling me that all this data, it's basically shared?
It's all centralized.
Like, do I have to opt for that stuff to sit on my computer too, or it just happens?
So when you go to like Dropbox, like do you use Dropbox at all?
Yep.
So your data that you store on Dropbox, it's not on a Dropbox server. It's on an Amazon server.
Got it.
So Dropbox is hosting their application on Amazon hardware, running in a server farm somewhere.
Got it.
And that's doing the processing, the storage, because it's cheap for them. Like Amazon's product is really, really cheap, and that's Ethereum's challenge right now is making it so that decentralization isn't the only perk, because right now it kind of is.
Yeah.
The fees are too high, the storage costs are too high.
Just so that people understand it, and I think this will paint a good picture. And I want to link, I'm going to talk about Amazon and how they're doing their cloud, but it's basically Amazon, it's land, and people are renting pieces of it.
Yeah, it's a good analogy.
Right, to run their application.
Yeah.
So Ether is this huge piece of land, right? Where people could come in and on top of it, take a little piece of it and create a cryptocurrency or
whatever application they want. Yeah.
Or whatever application they want to implement this blockchain technology.
Yeah.
Because this blockchain technology, people are talking about using it potentially titles on homes, your personal identity.
Right. Oh yeah.
Contracts can be done through this technology. Dude, keep going, man. I think I'm going to walk out of this one with...
So you mentioned the plot of land. That's kind of an interesting idea. So we can let's think of this like feudal times, like kings and knights and shining armor and that kind of stuff. So Amazon, think of like the castle, right?
Yep.
But you can storm the castle, right? You can have a bunch of invaders come attack it. The castle can crumble. The castle can catch on fire.
Yep.
Whatever's in that castle could be gone, right?
Burned up. Yep.
And they have backup plans, so they every once in a while they send a horse in a cart and they go, here, we got to make copies of all this stuff that we're holding here, because if this place goes down, everything's going down with it.
Yep.
The difference with Ethereum and really a lot of these other blockchains is, what if it was thousands of castles all over the place and they were hidden underground? That's kind of the difference here.
Yep.
So there's less attack surface for someone to take down the entire network. To take down any of these blockchains, you have to take down the entire internet. So China right now, there's something called the Great Firewall of China, where they have a kind of secluded part of the internet just for their citizens. Even that isn't taking down the blockchain. There are people that have put up satellites and towers to beam the blockchain back over the firewall of China into the country. It's
crazy.
It's crazy. So it can't be taken down.
Freedom, man. This is what it's all about,
unless
right?
the internet goes down with it.
It's freedom.
Right.
Dude, I'm really excited about these cryptos. I got to say, I have a little bit of Bitcoin. I have a little bit of Ether. I've done phenomenal with Litecoin.
Yeah.
Over the past couple of days, right?
Yep.
So it's something that I highly, highly recommend people to take a closer look at.
Yeah.
Because a couple years ago, Bitcoin has had a little spike, and people were going crazy thinking, this is a huge bubble. It's going to pop.
Yeah, the death of Bitcoin has been predicted over 100 times.
Get out.
Yeah.
And look at where Bitcoin is today.
Yeah.
And so talking about Bitcoin, if all of these things are all using the same technology, why such a large difference in value with Bitcoin?
So Bitcoin was kind of the first to emerge, because it's by no means the best. It's actually one of the slowest, and one of the most expensive to use. So it just happens to be that it's kind of the original on the block. It's like, why are people still using the US dollar? It's hard to get from one person to another person across the country.
Yeah.
It can be burned. It can be lost. So cash isn't really the best technology, right?
Yeah, that's right.
People are still using it because it's just kind of it's more universally accepted because it again was kind of the
so it got popular quicker.
It got first across the finish line.
Yeah.
But people, I think, especially as more and more people are pouring into it, now the free market gets to speak, and that's what's making a lot of these alternative or altcoins start to pop because people go, wait a second, I've got Coinbase. Coinbase is it's the biggest in the U.S. exchange for these cryptocurrencies. People look at Bitcoin.
Hey, by the way, I got to put in a plug here. By the way, guys, I gotta say it. We have a link underneath this video. If you want to give this thing a try, or at least just keep an eye on it, click on it. It'll take you to a Coinbase account. Create your account and put some money in there. By the way, if you use that link, you get $10. We get $10. You help us support what we're doing here. But go ahead, man. I just had to throw that little plug in there since you mentioned Coinbase. I'm a personal user of Coinbase. That's where I turn my dollars into cryptocurrency. Chad, it's safe to say that you're using
that's one
Coinbase?
Of the first that came available after Mt. Gox went away, which that's a whole different.
No,
I don't want to talk about because that brings back a lot.
We may bring it up. We may bring it up because I do.
That's where I lost a lot of money, but
because you went into the negative side of the cryptos,
and that's the thing. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that it's for everyone. Like, there's tons of risk. Like, you shouldn't go into this with money you can't afford to lose. It could be gone tomorrow. Who knows? I mean, the government can make laws around this stuff, which as of right now, this is all treated as assets. So like if you take money off of a crypto exchange, you're supposed to report that in taxes. So there are laws around that kind of stuff. But if all of a sudden the bank goes, or the government says this is too much of a threat to the dollar that we want to make sure is important, who knows? So it's still the Wild West out there. So take caution with that.
Yeah. And I think the government's looking at this as a positive, believe it or not. And it's all because of the blockchain technology. But since you mentioned some of the negative things that have happened around cryptocurrency, we can't go through this conversation without talking about the misconceptions.
Sure.
The black markets.
Sure.
The Silk Roads.
Yeah.
The illicit activities that can be highly influenced or enabled. I think that's the word I was looking for. Enabled by some of these currencies. I mean, just today, this morning, I learned about this cryptocurrency called Monero that is rising in value.
Yep.
And it's supposed to be the most anonymous thing you've seen from a currency standpoint.
So not only anonymous, because a lot of these are already anonymous, but So Bitcoin is anonymous but not untraceable. So if someone really wanted to look and find where the money is flowing, that's how the guy that ran the Silk Road, that's how he got caught. They figured out a few links and coincidences and IP addresses. So it's not exactly, you're not invisible out there. But Monero is a little bit more stealth in its design. And in turn, let's take a guess at who would be really interested in doing that. And that's, I guess, the one criticism of cryptocurrencies as a whole is people think it's for liars, cheats, pornographers, drug dealers, which all those you never find dealing with cash, right?
Well,
we don't have that issue with cash.
Especially
it's a problem with cryptocurrency.
Especially the dollar.
Right.
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 I do also believe that, cash, it's being used for all these illicit activities today. And someone said this is just a tool. And some people are going to use it for negative things. Others are going to use it for the right things and the right purpose.
I mean, you could argue the foundation of freedom is privacy, ultimately.
Yep.
And that's kind of the spirit of a lot of these cryptocurrencies, which I guess could segue into Ripple, which a lot of these cryptocurrencies...
Wait. What the heck is Ripple?
it's yet another one. It's pull up crypto market or coin market. What is it?
Let me ask my buddy, my best friend Google here.
Coinmarketcap.com.
Coin market cap?
Yeah, I think it's coinmarketcap.com.
Yep.
So you said big three, right?
Yep.
We've got, I think, over 30 of them now that are in the $1 billion club as far as market cap.
God damn it.
Okay.
Some of these I can't even pronounce.
So where's Ripple on that list?
You know what, man? I'm gonna have to do one of those control find.
It's near the top. There
number 4. Yeah.
So you mentioned big three. Well, Ripple's only number 4, right?
Yes.
So
with a market cap of over, is that 30 billion?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
So Ripple,
I'm telling you, if you ain't looking into this, these are real numbers. This is real cash. Folks, money doesn't go away. Wealth doesn't disappear.
Yep.
Wealth gets transferred from one hand to another.
Right.
Do not get blindsided by what you see on TV while you're watching your novellas. You need to look, if you're really serious about your money, if you're really serious about your financial future, cryptocurrency needs to be a part of it. I'm going to go crazy looking at all of these. I mean, I just went half the screen and I hit 100 different currencies that are out there. And the one with the less value, it's over 135 million in market cap. The average household, 2 people working, the average household in America, it's making about 55 grand. And if you ask the average person about what the heck is a cryptocurrency, they're probably going to look at you like you have
right. They might
3
know
eyeballs.
Bitcoin. They might have heard of it.
Yeah.
Saw on the news or know a buddy that does it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So, dude, sorry, but I went a little rant there.
Yeah, that's fine. So
this is amazing. So what's up with Ripple? What's Ripple all about?
So yeah, so we've got a total market cap of all of these right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think just yesterday surpassed $600 billion. So that's higher than the market cap of Disney, GE.
Yeah, probably 4 of them combined.
A lot of major institutional like corporations out there. So it's definitely a big deal. Ripple. So how I mentioned a lot of these were kind of like grassroots, like born by the community for the community. Like F the man. Like we don't want the establishment involved here, right? Well, Ripple's is the establishment's answer to the movement, right? So and I was kind of against it because I got that like rebel spirit in me.
Yeah.
You know?
So tell me more. I guess now I want to know who owns it. Like, how,
So
when you say the
I
establishment,
can't remember who owns it, but it's like, think of it like by the corporations for the corporations. And the reason why it had a big pop a little while ago, I think maybe 1 or 2 days ago, maybe 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Because a few banks in Japan started adopting it as a platform for settling payments and transfers between one account to another, from one company to another, from one bank to another. So they're using it as a settlement system. Like, so if you write me,
I gotta buy some Ripple.
so like if you write me a check or you're doing a wire transfer, it takes a while. Like, it takes a few business days for one party to see the other party's money, and there's a lot of hands that have to get involved to make that kind of transfer happen. Yep. So these institutions and banks are going like, all right, we don't like this Bitcoin stuff, but how's that all work? Because that sounds real nice. Like, can we have that and kind of compete with this movement?
Yep.
And if they get some steam with it, this could be part of the answer, because it is solving a lot of the problems in the traditional banking and financial system.
Yep.
Where now if you are a member of one of these Japanese banks and you pay a friend using one of their Japanese banks, it's almost like if like things like Venmo and PayPal were almost built in to everyone's bank account.
Yep.
So you could do person-to-person payments. You can even have it where, let's say you don't care so much about cryptocurrency, but you want to be able to accept if someone wants to pay you in cryptocurrency, right?
Dude,
Ripple is the answer to that.
And I think I was looking for your advice the other day, because I do want to accept cryptocurrencies in one of the businesses that we're running.
So Ripple is kind of like, let's say you don't really have interest in cryptocurrency. Let's say you didn't believe in it, right? But you wanted to make money from customers that have it and want to spend it. So Ripple can kind of do these on-the-fly conversions. So I send you my Ripple, or I send you my Bitcoin, I send you my Ether, and you just receive dollars or euro or whatever you happen to be. So it's an interesting technology, really cheap fees.
So at that point, I have Ripple. I send it to somebody, but they receive their local currency. Who owns that cryptocurrency? Does the bank keeps it and sells it into the market to turn it into dollars?
So they would exchange it with whatever they have.
They have,
yeah.
Okay.
So if they do it with their bank, then that payment network would deposit funds into their bank. Now, an interesting natural invention that happened in a few countries. They have because not everyone has access to the internet. Not everyone has smartphones and whatnot. Yeah. So things have sprung up. I forget what country this was in. I think it's in a South American country. But there was enough demand for cryptocurrency, but people couldn't exchange it for their actual dollars so that they could pay their rent, pay their mortgage, pay their bills, that kind of stuff. So what ended up coming up was almost like a courier network, where kind of like ordering an Uber.
Yeah.
Instead, you go, I need an ATM to come to me. So a person that was part of this network, he'd have ratings on there because people would review him, would come to someone's house with cash, and that person would go, hey, Diego in America gave me a few $1,000s in this cryptocurrency, but I want to exchange it because I need to pay my car payment. And that person would accept the crypto payment.
Dude, business ideas are just going through my mind like crazy right now.
I thought that was a really cool,
that's a pretty cool
idea. I mean, there's a lot of concerns that I would have. You got a guy, how many people are going to go, you know what, this guy's going to come over here with how many $1,000? Like, let me place come over. So it's a little scary, but it's interesting what the market ends up demanding, because there was enough demand for that to now exist, right?
So I've asked you about storage. where to keep this thing, how to keep it.
Yeah.
You and I, we've talked about keeping it hot, keeping it cold.
Sure.
Hot, what was it? Hot wallet.
Yeah. Hot
Paper
versus
wallet.
cold wallet.
Paper wallets. You gave me a paper. I don't think I put any money in it yet, but I actually can't find it. I got to ask my wife.
Okay. I can print you another one.
But let's talk about storage. People want to know, where do I keep this currency? How can I keep it safe so that people don't take it from me? So yeah, man.
Sure. So Coinbase is a great service.
Yep.
But Coinbase is really not much different than your bank is now.
It's okay. So let me take it back a step.
Yeah.
Right? I think I went a little further ahead.
Okay.
Coinbase is more like a bank.
Yes.
Right? And I'm glad you went into this. So let's explain first what some of these exchanges are, what they're doing.
Yep.
Right? But if you don't want to have your money in someone's bank,
right?
Because that's what's a lot of the folks behind this cryptocurrency, it's getting away from that model.
Yes.
So let's first talk about Coinbase and some other exchanges.
Right.
And then how we can put, once you buy through an exchange, once you buy these cryptocurrencies, putting them in areas where you can save it securely, right? Either a hot wallet or a paper wallet or a cold wallet. So yeah, let's start with Coinbase.
Sure.
And the exchanges.
So Coinbase was one of the first exchanges to pop up after the Mt. Gox incident.
Yeah. Which, by the way, it's for those of you that may not know, that was an exchange that...
I mean, it was like the only one available at the time.
Was it hacked? Was that what happened?
No one really knows. Like, it was either a hack or an inside job. Because remember, when you're working with an exchange, you're sending money to them, and you're trusting. Anytime you're in an exchange, you're trusting someone else with your money, right?
With your money, yeah.
Because you're trying to trade it. So, like, if you're interacting with an exchange, you deposit money from your own wallet into theirs, and then you get to play around with it. So, all of a sudden, one day, I logged into that account.
And it was no longer there.
The money was not there anymore. I was like, all right, so now what? And the guy, like, I think went missing, and that caused one of the first, like, major crashes in Bitcoin because people lost a lot of money and lost their faith in it.
And you need to be clear, that was a business that went under. Like many banks around the world has gone under, and people have lost their dollars, their local currencies. This was a business that, I don't remember the full story, but it went under. And with it, a lot of cash went under as well.
Right.
So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about exchanges, third-party companies holding your cash so that you can buy different currencies, so digital currencies.
Cases, and again, there's always a level of trust, so you have to just trust that they're doing what they're supposed to. So Coinbase does a lot of, they comply with government regulations, so they do like KYC, like know your customer. So like if you're out there signing up for Coinbase, they're going to ask you for the same kind of stuff that you'd be asked if you're setting up any bank account or financial account, trading account, whatever it may be. So, and that's so that they're cool with the government and are able to operate and do the things they do. But Coinbase, they're an exchange as well as think of it like a hosted or cloud wallet. So you don't need Coinbase to exist or to own Bitcoin. You can own Bitcoin in your own wallet. I keep mine in an app called Jax. It's on Android and iOS. I keep some in cold storage on a paper wallet. But there's even more secure ways. Like there's a wallet called Trezor out there. You can buy it on Amazon or I think directly from Trezor.
Look for it in the description.
And so they're hardware wallets, so they're a little more protection because basically you want to make sure that your password, any password you create is secure. You're writing this down in multiple places and keeping it safe. If you have a safe, put stuff in there. Some of the safest ways to store your money, I don't think I ever told you or really anyone about this one because it's a little intense, but you can do what's called a brain wallet, where you can remember a mnemonic phrase
Yep.
that can lead you to what your keys are. If you remember like a phrase.
Is it similar to the 13 word that makes 0 sense that I get from Jax?
Pretty much.
That's my secure
same
code.
Same idea, except you're doing this without a phone, without a computer, any of that. So you could,
Got it.
if your brain is intact, you could have access to your funds and accept money from others with no gadgets.
So by the way, when I got this paper wallet, the key was like this long.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So you probably have to remember something this long.
No, the mnemonic phrase helps make that up because basically you would type in, and I don't know how long the phrases are. I mean, you could Google like how to make a brain wallet.
Okay.
And you can generate your own phrase to remember, and basically you could punch in that phrase, have it figure out what your huge key is, and that's one way where you could store your money. But most people keep their money in a hot wallet. But I wouldn't keep like all my money in a hot wallet. Just like I wouldn't keep all of my money in one place. I wouldn't keep all of my money under the mattress. I'd maybe spread out, put in some drums buried in the backyard, like do the Pablo Escobar thing and distribute it, right? So if it depends. If you're gonna have $100 worth of money, you're probably gonna need $100 worth of security, right?
Yep.
So you don't need a armed security guard. You don't need maybe a huge password. But if you start going heavier into this, maybe you're going to want some more security.
So I'm fairly new to as an investor of cryptocurrencies. I have all of my money right now in Coinbase, all of it. And I just started the conversation with Chad to start talking about how can I start moving, not all of it, because I want to be active in the trading of it. But I want to take some of that and move it to areas where it's off of Coinbase.
And Coinbase, their security practices are pretty good. You can pull up their security site. They actually keep their storage offline, so they have their own cold wallets. I think it's something like 95% of their funds are cold. So you don't have to be super paranoid about it, but it's still... Again, I'm kind of all about that original spirit of I want to be my own bank and control it myself. I'm responsible for if it was lost, stolen, or fell into the wrong hands. So it's as secure as you want to make it to be.
Yeah.
Coinbase kind of gives you the convenience because, like, on a paper wallet, you can't just go transfer that without something else getting involved. But with Coinbase, I mean, you can send money to me knowing my email address. So they tie a few extra services.
Convenience.
It's a convenience factor.
Making it convenient, taking it to the masses. I think this is why Bitcoin, Ether, EOS, and some others are growing so fast. It's because the word is getting out. People are learning about it, and it makes sense. When you take 15, 20 minutes of your time, start digging into blockchain, and how there is a mathematical order on how every single Satoshi it's accounted for.
Right.
And do we want to tell people what's a Satoshi?
It's like the smallest unit of
a Bitcoin. Yeah, it's a millionth.
It's infinitely divisible.
It's like a millionth of a coin.
I wouldn't put money on it. I can't remember, but
it's a tiny amount.
And actually, it's a good point to bring up that because my wife was kind of apprehensive to invest in this because she's like, it's too expensive. Like, I'm not going to drop $8,000 on a Bitcoin.
By the way, I didn't tell my wife until Litecoin blew up, and then I was making money.
Just so you had a positive tale.
Baby, we make money.
It sounds a lot better than, hey, I bought some internet money and I lost all of it. Right.
Just that I bought currency alone was not going to be enough.
Right.
So I bought it.
Yeah.
We made money.
I show you the proof. So she had this mindset like, oh, we're too late. Like, you should have kept all the Bitcoin you had back in 2011 when I really started playing around with this. And she didn't realize that you don't have to own a whole one.
Yeah.
Most people, and actually you can look at statistics to see how much is in accounts kind of worldwide.
Yeah.
And see how much the majority of people really have. Most people just own half a Bitcoin, 3/4 of a Bitcoin.
Amounts,
And there's a few big whales out there that like the guy, oh my God, the guy that ordered the pizza paid $10,000, I think, or 10,000 Bitcoin for a pizza, like as a proof of concept. Like,
how much is that today? How many millions is that?
That's a lot, like 18 billion maybe.
Yeah, even tough to do the math.
Yeah, there's too many. Yeah, I got to move the decimal too many places. So you don't have to own a whole one. You can. It's infinitely divisible, so you can own 0.000001.
Yeah.
Bitcoin. So.
Yeah, and that's why you just have to get started. Somebody gave me some statistics at one point about the compound effect of saving, especially in things that can go up in value.
Mm-hmm.
Finite things like Bitcoin are going to stay fixed.
Right.
The amount of humans in the world is going to continue to grow.
Right.
You ain't stopping it.
Yes.
The demand for more is going to continue to grow. And when the demand goes up, the value of it increases just as high.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why I'm such a big advocate as you should start putting 10, 20, 30 bucks.
Yeah. It's kind of like you take whatever you're worth, you take 1%.
Yeah.
And something you could afford to lose if it were to have some drastic drop.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are going to have a rude awakening because I think a lot of these currencies are a little overextended right now. So it may not be the perfect time to go in. But on the contrary, as a long-term believer in the product, I think any time is a good time to get in.
I'm the same way.
Even if
just
it's going to have a drop.
Yep. Get in.
You only
Play.
lose money if you panic and sell out,
yep.
Which I think is the same with any other market. Those that were in the stock market before the crash in 2008, 2009 time frame,
they made all their money back.
They're good.
Yeah. And some. They made all their money back and some. And for those of us that's still young, the best thing that can happen to these cryptocurrencies is that they crash pretty bad.
Yeah.
So then I'm going to go crazy and buy.
It's a discount.
A ton of. Because that's just what they call a correction.
Right.
It corrects, balances out, and then it comes back up. That's all it is. It's just a correction. So we gave people a little bit of what it is.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of the use cases of cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
We talked about some of the misconceptions that are out there. What are from someone that's been involved in this for many years, someone that I believe has plenty of experience with the technology because you mine it yourself.
Yep.
You've been an investor. You have regret selling when you sold all the coins that you had because of where it is today. From someone from your point of view, what will you want to tell the average person out there that is still on the fence?
Don't be stupid about it. Like, don't risk what you can't afford to lose. It's not as risky as gambling, but it's still plenty of risk. And I am by no means a financial advisor, but the technology isn't going anywhere. More and more companies are adopting some form of it.
Yep.
It's growing at such a rapid pace. It doesn't make sense to not at least learn about it.
Yep.
And make your own mind up.
Yeah. So here's what I'm going to tell you. For someone that was completely homeless in 2004, and I'm when I tell you homeless, I mean Fordham Road, University Ave, Bronx, New York. There's a little park there. You could go visit it. I was homeless in 2004. And because I started to change the way I look at the world, I started to educate myself, associate myself with folks that are with deep knowledge in their industries. Changed the way I looked at the world, and it allowed me to make the right investments, read the right books, to make sure that I was positioning myself for a better future. Cryptocurrency is not going anywhere. The technology is not going anywhere. Banks, governments, private institutions are looking at the blockchain technology to implement it in their own businesses. And don't take my word for it. Look at Rich and Branson have talked about he invested in it at an early age, believes in the technology behind it. Bill Gates have come out and say that he also believes in the technology. Mark Cuban have said it. He's an investor in this technology. Yeah. So if you want success, if you want this thing to make a difference in your life, go start listening to people that have created fortunes in waves. The internet boom. People thought the internet was not going to be a thing. And today we cannot live without it. And I strongly believe that this is what's going to happen with cryptocurrency and blockchain technology.
This is to money what the internet was to information. So it's going to be a big wave, like you said, and you're either going to jump on board or just get left behind.
Which is get left behind.
I think I mentioned that meme that goes around with the Matrix guys, the Neo and Morpheus. I love it just because this is a potential future, right? Where it's the images of Neo saying to Morpheus, "Are you trying to tell me that one day I could sell my Bitcoin for millions?" And Morpheus turns to him and goes, "No, Neo, what I'm saying is when we're ready, you won't have to." So it's
powerful. That's powerful.
It could be a real thing.
Listen, it can be done. You can do it too. There's no size how you could get into this. Look at an app like Stash. Start there. Cents. Pennies from every transaction that you make. Turn that around. Throw it into Coinbase.
Sure.
Get yourself a little bit of cryptocurrency, and you will not even notice it. Time will continue to go by, and let me tell you, in a few years from now, you're going to be a lot more well off than where you're at today, just with a few cents a day. Chad, dude, it's a great conversation, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you very much for stopping by. And folks, this was another talk with Diego.